Um, I'm coming in for y'all this to get in the live. I know probably some of my other cohorts in the YouTube content creators are going live later on tonight. I want to be able to sit down and watch them this afternoon and tonight. Um, I promised you that I was going to build upon all the stuff that we've been building upon in my lives for the first 16 lives I've had. I thank you so much for hanging in with me. I try to play a little bit of music. I don't know if that really worked as an intro. I'm trying to get some intro music. Anyone out there, man, they can send some stuff in my inbox. Uh, Send me a message, man, and say, hey, man, if you got any ideas or maybe you can help out a little bit with some intro music. But I'm working. It's a work in progress, and we're working towards trying to get this thing going and really going. Appreciate that, Jay. What's going on, brother? Um, it's a trying to, man, Jay. I'm just trying to. Hey, I'm just using the stuff I got on my platform here. That, the intro music they had. So hey, man, I'm still trying to learn this whole thing, man. But I promise you to have some very original music from a guy that I know that's a brother of mine, a frat brother of mine who makes music, makes beats and stuff like that. And he's getting me a beat that's going to be my own, so I don't have to worry about copyright infringements and stuff of that nature. But just want to say hello, man. Everybody out there in land, man, whoever can pop on, if they see this in the feed, please share. You share this out, and then we can get it popping, and we can talk about some things. Salute, um, Holly. So hallelujah. We gonna we're gonna salute. We're gonna talk about a very interesting subject today, and that subject that we're going to talk about today is offense. Um, Coach has been stressing about defense, but we got to talk about our offense, and we're going to talk about what our offense, what direction is our offense going in this year. What fits our offense? Um, we're going to talk about what fits our offense, what direction goes in our offense, how our offense is going to fit into our culture, our cultural pieces, how our offense is going to fit in to the things that we need to do to win battles in the game. How our offense is going to have to be just going to be our offense is going to be complementary to our defense and our special teams. Which direction is our offense going to go? We're going to also talk about what direction does the Schottenheimer seem like he's wanting the offense to go, and what is the pressures that's going to be from the Cowboy Nation of how they want the offense to go. And then we're going to talk about a little bit, we're going to touch a little bit basis on the history of our offense and how we done well in certain types of offenses and how we have been able to be a successful, efficient offense. Again, that word efficient is going to be the key to this year. Efficiency means you want to be at an even keel and it's always being productive. We don't want to up and down offense. We don't want to we explode for the first couple of quarters and then the second half we can't get a first down. We don't want the inconsistencies that we have been in before offensively. And the reason why those inconsistencies goes back to your culture of how you're built as a football team. So we're going to talk about those type things. We're going to go back again, back over the same things we've been going over. Blocks of the culture, the building blocks of the culture that we're trying to put in, that we see Schottenheimer we must put in, the building blocks. We're going to talk about the things that we must do in battles, that we must try to win every game, and our offense is going to be a part of it. That's going to help us increase our chances of winning, and alleviate the chances of us losing. And we're going to talk about where's our talent and how this our offense direction is going to fit the talent base that we got. So let's unpack some things about this offense and let's give a general synopsis of what we talking about with this offense. Let's talk about the things that this offense have added since last year. One, we added a offensive coordinator, which now with Schottenheimer is going to be calling the plays, but now he added an offensive coordinator, plus now he's going to be calling the plays, and he was in the role of offensive coordinator last year, but I think he was just on the suggestion role, just suggestions. He really didn't put it in, but now this is his suggestions is going to be the lead suggestions, and then he got an offensive coordinator that came in here, guy that came in from an offensive line coach. And forgive me if I'm not great with names, because I wasn't great with names when I was coaching, man. I'm great with numbers. I'm great with positions. I would say, hey, the defensive line coach, hey, the running back coach. I know exactly who you are. But let's talk about the offensive line coach. And now he's the offense. He was offensive line coach in in Arizona. Now he's the offensive coordinator here. But he did a lot of multiple stuff. His running game was very multiple. Was it not? He didn't have a zone scheme. He didn't have an inside zone scheme. He didn't have outside zone scheme. He did a pin and pull. He had a very multiple base offense. And if you look at him when he had his interview, he said some interesting things. He said, we're not just going to go into a game saying that we got to run the ball or we got to pass the ball. He said, we got to go into the game to do the things to win the football game. That was a very interesting point to me. And that was kind of leading into where my direction of where we need to probably go with this offense. We brought in another offensive line coach, the guy from Kansas State. They had BB as in college, but been very highly known as a great offensive line coach. Very physical style they came from in Kansas. Very Kansas State, very physical. They always had a great running game, a productive passing game, but they had a very physical run game. So when you talk about that, you talk about the offensive line coach. So now you got two offensive line guys in the room. One was an offensive line. You bring an offensive line coach, and then you got an offensive line coach who's the coordinator. So you got a lot of offensive line guys in the room. Then you look at say, okay, bring into another receiver coach, very dynamic young guy, first time in the NFL, but very dynamic with a lot of stuff in Oregon. But remember, Oregon had a very explosive passing game, but they still lived off the run. They were very physical in the run, and they created big plays in their offense. So we're looking at a guy that was a receivers coach, but still yet he had guys that made big plays, and they created those big plays off runs, and then they created big plays in the passing game. So then he kept the tight ends coach here, one of the few holdovers. And then you brought in a new running backs coach. Again, same thing with the running back coach. Had a very good ability to have multiple running backs to come through his system and do well. So you got a great start of offense, a new type of offense. I think this offense that if you think about the Cowboys offense, this has basically been the same offense, probably, I want to say 8 to 9 years. And you say, well, coach, wait a minute, hold up. When you had Jason Garrett, he had the first offensive coordinator from Detroit. Right? They fired him, but he was the offensive coordinator for Kellen Moore. So when Kellen Moore came in, Scott Linehan was the guy When Kellen Moore came in after Scott Linehan, he was a disciple of playing under Scott Linehan. So he kept a lot of stuff with Scott Linehan stuff. And then Kellen Moore transitioned into Mike McCarthy. And then Mike McCarthy didn't change none of the offense. If you look at the offense, it really didn't change. So what happened is, and I think sometimes you can get stale in the offense when you have it too long, and then what you do is you help defensive coordinators just to be able to lock in on you. They can lock in on you, and then they can really kind of figure you out. Defensive coaches want to narrow down their narrow down where you're going to go and how you're going to do. If we can narrow that decision down where the percentages are that we don't have is so broad, that's why we work to keep you behind the sticks as defense coordinators. Because we get you behind the sticks, and what that means is distance second and second and eight or more, you behind the sticks. If you get 4 yards on first down, you're in front of the sticks. But when you get 2 yards or 1 yard or lose yards, or no yards or lose yards, we get you behind the sticks. If we get you behind the sticks, and what we mean behind the sticks, we get you off schedule because it takes 3.5 yards to get you a first down. A third to get you a first down. If you get 3 1/3 on the first down, 3 1/3 on the second down, and you get 3 1/3 on third down, you have a first down. So when you stay on schedule like that, you are what we consider being in front of the sticks. That means you even with what you need to get on that down to get a first down in 3 downs. If we can keep you below that, we consider you behind the sticks. And if you're behind the sticks in a defensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator now has the advantage because he cuts down your playbook to a certain amount of plays because you got to gain back more yards than what the normal is. Example, first down, you get no yards. You're now considered being behind the sticks. Now you're second down and 10. So now the defensive coordinator is in control. He said you can run the ball for the second down if you want to, but I'm going to play a coverage or defense where I'm going to probably try to take away the pass somewhat. I'm going to allow you to run the ball because if you get 4 yards, guess what? Third down, you're still behind the sticks because you got to get more than 3.5 yards because 3 1/3 yards keeps you on schedule. So when teams say they're not on schedule, that means they get behind the sticks. And if you play behind the sticks a lot as an offense, you're not going to be productive. It's going to hurt your productivity. If you playing from the sticks more often, you're going to be much more productive and you're going to have the defense off kilter. So when we look at our offense, we got to find out what's going to help us keep us on schedule, keep the pressure off of, some of the pressure off of the offense to be efficient. Let's look at some of the players. We talked about coaches. Let's look at some of the players we done got. That's very important when we talk about where our offense. Let's talk about the new players on offense. Tyler Booker is the first one. First round draft pick. We drafted him because he was a mauler, a very physical presence. Yes, he can pass block. He got great pass block, but he talks about taking the wheel away from people playing. You only do that by putting your hands on them and beating them down and going after them. You don't take the wheel from a player by dancing with him on play in pass blocking. You don't allow him. He's attacking you. But when you dominate him, you can make him lose his wheel. We brought him in. We brought in Blue, from Texas, home run hitter. Got a fumbling problem somewhere, but definitely a home run hitter. 4.2 speed, low 4.2, high 4.2 speed. Showed that on the field. Can catch the ball out the backfield. Got some explosion. Brought in Marfa. Brought in uh uh you brought in Marfa. You brought in Blue. You brought in, and then you brought in free agents. You went and got, or in a trade, you got George Pickens. Very explosive. Again, like I said, a very talented football player. Now, is his talent uh, is his talent to the point where is his talent to the point where his talent is great, but we're gonna get him if we're gonna, and right now we're seeing great strides with his mentality and his fitting in the scheme and being a team player. And I think that's gonna work now because I see the psychology or how the Cowboys are handling him, making him feel loved. But this is what he got to do is fit into the culture and move forward. And we got to make sure we fit him in right. So if we look at it, bringing in people, we brought in a mixture of people. We brought in some people that's going to help. One of the things that we need to help on our offense, and we talked about on our last show, our offense got to have more explosive plays. That's part of our offense. We got to get explosive plays. When you say, well, Coach, well, how are we going to get explosive plays? If we talking about, where does that fit in the offense? It fits in, and we got to create explosive plays in our offense. And we got to create an atmosphere to get explosive plays. So that's what we got to do. And that's what we got to do, get explosive plays. Now, what helps us get explosive plays? It goes back to what I just talked about before. Just a few minutes I talked before. Staying on schedule and staying in front of the sticks. If you get behind the sticks or you get out of off schedule, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 9, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6.5, 3rd and 13, 2nd and 20. All of those are examples of being behind the sticks. It's harder to get explosive plays when you're behind the sticks because now you're trying to get big gains, and guess what the defense is playing you for? Big gains, and they're playing you to stop you from getting explosive plays. Now, if you go into this game and you are 2nd and 3, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 4, 3rd and 1, now you're acceptable to get big plays. Why? Because now you're in the position at 2nd and 4 to run or pass. You're acceptable now to say I can take a shot down the field and still be on schedule for 3rd down. I can still be on schedule because I got more. I'm on schedule. I'm now dictating to the defense of how I want them to play, and now they're acceptable of me striking them big. But now I got to have the players to be able to do it. And I think we went into this thing, and we got George Pickens, and I think we got some other guys that's on this roster that can give you those big plays. But I think the offense last year or last couple of years hindered them from doing what they need to do. So let's look at we talked about our offense. We talked about some of the people we brought in. Now let's see what I feel the direction of our offense have to go based off how building blocks of our culture and how we have to do to win games. So we go back to where we was at last time when we talked about our team. And I want to make sure that my thing is two things that we need to have in our offense that's very important to the success of our football team. And I think this has been a problem the last couple of years, more than a couple of years. Because it made our offense predictable. And the thing that if you were watching me on Boss Cowboy Sports and you have heard me on many a times, I know people going to say, most people going to say, well, Coach, why you got your run the damn ball hat on? Because all Coach wants to be 3 yards in the cloud dust. He wants to run the ball and ground and pound and just, play a boring type of style of football. No. I think a multiple offense is an exciting style of football. I think an offense that's one-dimensional is a boring type of style of football. If you just all run, that's boring. And eventually, in the NFL with these great athletes, you can't be one-dimensional and win. Because the good teams will shut you down. I don't care what you got out there. Because they got great athletes as well. If you all pass, I don't care who you got. You could have had, it's been documented in time, the Dan Fouts, the Dan Marinos. When they got into tight situations, when they're playing against tough teams, playoff teams, and they were one-dimensional, guess what? They came up short. So what I think more than anything, we have to add what I call a physical presence to our offense. So you say, Coach, what you mean by physical presence to your offense? Your offense has to have a level of what we call physical dominance. You have to be, I think Schottenheim talked about this 2 years ago in a press conference when he was the offense coordinator. And I could tell that he was saying these things, but he really was not running these things. And I just don't think Mike McCarthy ever had that type of mentality. Even go back to Green Bay, he did. But a physical presence to our offense. Now, let's unpack a physical presence and what a physical presence is. A physical presence means, as what Schottenheim was saying, we're going to be able to run the ball, and hell, when you know we're going to run the ball. And we're still going to be successful. We got to be able to run the ball when you know we're going to run it, and we got to be able to pass the ball when you know we're going to pass it. But first of all, we got to learn how to run the ball when we know you're going to run it, because what are we trying to do? Who is the most important part to getting when you talk about an offense? And if you're in the chat out there, I'm going to the chat, because if you're in the chat out there, anybody who's in the chat, who do you think is the most important part of your offense to get in rhythm? Is it your running backs? Is it your receivers? If it's your running backs, put a 1. If it's your receivers, put a 2 in the chat. If it's your quarterback, put a 3 in the chat. And if it's your offensive line, put a 4 in the chat. Who do you think, when you talk about getting in the rhythm, who needs to get in the rhythm first? Is it your running backs? Is it your receivers? Is it your quarterback? Or is it your offensive line? You got to know who you got to get in rhythm first. And people out there, right. Your O-line got to get in rhythm first. Because everything works from them. And I played offensive line. When you come out and get into a game, you want to be able to, listen, There is more trash talking at that first time you walk up to the line of scrimmage than any other time in the game, because those are two alpha lines, the front seven for the defense and the front five or six with the tight ends, the seven in the offense. This is where you come up and two dogs are barking at each other, and they just got one line in front of them. And we got to get to a point of who is setting the dominance today. And if the line gets in sync with beating on guys and getting their rhythm about how guys moving, how quick the other guys are, how much you're gonna have to live on this double team, because you could do it in practice, but when you get the feel of the other team, now when the line gets flowing and they get lathered up, everybody else starts to flow. But so many times, teams go out there and they say, hey, let's come out passing the ball. And what that does is okay, and I'm not saying you got to go out there and just run the ball 3 times, but we go out there and we play passive on first down. Then we run the ball on second down with a passive run, and then we play passive on third down with another pass. We have let their defensive line get in rhythm first because they attacked us, and now they're the attacker. Yes, I know when we say throw the ball, we attacking, and they say, well, coach, we don't want to be not attacked. But what we didn't do is get our offensive linemen in a rhythm for them attacking, because that's the most important thing, is for them to set a dominance. And I know a lot of people gonna say out there in the chat, well, coach, we don't like to run the ball on first down. Everybody talks about, man, you don't run the ball on first down. You pass the ball on first down. We run the ball too much on first down to get 2-3 yards, and that's run the ball too much time. I'm finna give you a coaching point. When you watch a football game, if the team is throwing the ball, just do your own chart. Every first down, chart if they pass or run the ball. Okay? If they throw the ball 60% of the time on first down, the biggest chart you have to do then is how many of those passes did they complete when they threw the ball 60%. If you're going to throw the ball on first down, you must complete the pass. You say, well, coach, what you mean by that? I'm going to have an offense where we're not going to allow people to tackle us in the backfield. Now, people tackling us in the backfield is unexcusable for offense. Now, shouldn't it run down for 1 or 2, maybe 2 yard, 3? Offense have to have the mentality is we're going to get 2 yards just because of the lean of the running back. And we're going to get to this offensive line, that this offensive line is going to say, we're going to want our running backs to at least be 1 yard past the line of scrimmage before we get touched. And that should be the mandate of any offensive line. So we should get 2 to 3 yards with every run. But if we throw the ball on first down and we throw an incomplete pass, what does that put us behind? It puts us behind the sticks. And what did I say about when you get behind the sticks? Your offense automatically gets less efficient when you continue to play from behind the sticks. What makes me so upset is when teams go out there and throw a low percentage pass on first down in their territory. I hate when we on the first down and 25. We backed up. We throw a long pass down the sideline on first down and incomplete. Now the defense got us at 2nd and 10 at our 20-yard line. They in control. Now they looking to turn us over. Then we try to run the ball and get 2 yards. Now we backed up, and now we got 3rd and 8. Now they're listen. Now what their defense coordinator and their defense is, we about to turn them over. More turnovers come in 2nd and 3rd and 8 and 10 More turnovers happen then than any other time in football. If I can get you 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, 3rd and plus, I'm looking to turn you over. So, yes, you can pass the ball on first down, but you got to be efficient and you got to complete the pass. Because I could have ran the ball and got 3 yards and stayed in front of the sticks. And I throw the ball and get incompletion. That's not saying you don't supposed to look for a pass down the field, but if the pass is not there, check down to the running back, get your own 3 yards again. But it must be a completion. If you're throwing the ball on first down, every first down, I need to complete 85% of my passes on first down. Because I can't waste that down throwing it if it's a check down, it's got to be complete, not incomplete. So I have no problem with throwing the ball on first down, but completing the pass. Don't throw incompletions on first down and get us behind the sticks, because we get behind sticks, we get off schedule, and it's a recipe for destruction. So, getting our offensive line, again, a physical presence, going back to what I just said, we're going to have our offensive line say we're going to get 2 to 3 yards. I don't care what we play up there. We're not going to allow people to run free to hit our running back in the backfield. And we're going to be able to get 2 yards with just a lean. And I think we got the offensive line to do that. So that's the first of adding a physical presence. Now let's talk about where that physical presence is set up by the personnel we got. A physical presence of our offense. You said, well, Coach, what you mean by with personnel? What does your personnel have to do with your physical presence? Well, remember, Coach was talking about on his last show. If you've been following me, and if you hadn't followed me, go back to those other shows. Please go back to those other shows, because you're gonna find out that Coach talking about when you got talent on the team, and our offensive line is our talent, regardless of what it is. It's the talent. It's our offensive line. Every player is talented. So that's our talent. So if that's our talent, as the team, and I see on the screen here, I just shared this. We said that we want to get a physical presence of our offense, and where does that fit in our talent? Well, we got our talent is our offensive lineman. That's a talent. So we want to put our talent in number 4. We want to have put our talent in the right places so it can shine. So we're going to put our talent in the right places for it to shine. You say, well, Coach, if we put it in our talent in the right places for it to shine, and we're going to be a physical presence, let's look at our offense. Our offensive line. Tyler Smith is a mauler, an all-pro, a mauler. Came out of Tulsa slamming people. Still is a physical mauler. Terrence Steele is in his best element. He pass blocks better. His whole game is better when he's putting his hands and he's putting hats on people in the run game. You watch Terrence Steele got a contract because when we would run the ball for the time he first started playing, and he was mauling people, you ain't hear nothing about the passing game. You ain't hear nothing about him pass blocking. When he's out there mauling people and putting his hands on people, he's dominant. Physical presence fits our offensive line. It fits Tyler Booker. Physical presence fits Tyler Booker. If I'm still out there with y'all in the chat, somebody put a 1 in the chat, please. Let me know that I'm still connected. My side says everything is still going, but please put somebody in the chat They say, "Hey, coach, you still on live." I hope I ain't mess up nothing when I was sharing that screen. But if I'm still out there, please put something out there in the chat that says that y'all still with me. If anybody's out there in the chat, please put something out there in the chat that say I'm still with you. But Tyler Booker, thank you, is a mauler. Tyler Booker's a mauler. That fits the physical presence and getting out the line together. Our Tyler Guyton, he's a right tackle. He played right tackle in college. He's moving to left tackle. Well, nope, I'm not saying that he needs to move to left tackle, right tackle. I'm going to say this, and I said this in a previous show. Right tackles are what you call your physical tackles. Left tackles is your dancing bears. He was a right tackle, so he knows most teams run right. That's your dominant, that's your physical tackle. Your left tackle is more your most athletic tackle. He's a right tackle, so you know he has the physical element. BB is a physical center. Came out of Kansas State. They was mauling people up front. So if you don't add a physical presence to the offense, with a physical presence means that we're going to be committed to running the football and committed to putting our helmets on you. You're not doing the talent thing. You're not putting your players in the best situation for them to be successful. And you're not getting your offensive line, which we said is the most important part of our offense, to get comfortable. We're not getting them comfortable in a game. These guys want to get on top of people and start to dominate them, and then they can flow and take their legs away from them, and then they'll go with them and ride them all day in the passing game. But don't mean you have to come out and run the ball 10 times, but you have to be the biggest thing that we want to say in our offense. We have to add a physical presence, but the biggest thing to add the physical presence is this word here. Our offense has to be balanced. You say, well, coach, what you mean by balance? Do you mean, no, I'm not saying you got to run the ball 75% of the time. I ain't saying you got to pass the ball 75% of the time. I think every drive, if you watch our live stream, I think Boss Cowboys said it best one time. He did a thing about charting the plays. I think he did a film on charting the plays. And when we were balanced with a mixture of pass and run on drives, we scored. That is what keeps us in rhythm. That gets everybody in rhythm. The run game gets your offensive lineman in rhythm. The passing game gets your receivers in rhythm. Everybody's involved because we got players in every position. The balance is going to help us get efficiency out of our offense. That's what I mean by adding the physical presence of being committed to the running game, committed to play action pass, which play action pass is a physical way of pass blocking because it's got run action first. It's not just setting up in pass blocking sets. It's matter of fact, actually like you going into the double team, actually coming off the ball for 1 or 2 steps and then setting up for passes. It takes the defensive lineman legs away from them. Running the ball takes the defensive lineman legs from them. And then what it happens is it makes it easier for you to pass the ball in the fourth quarter. So a physical presence and balance is what this offense needs. Now, everybody talks about it. what I said about that, what I always say, everybody wants to stay in the Hamptons, a house in the Hamptons, and ride in jets and have limousines ride them around town and have money galore in their pocket, sitting in the air conditioning. Everybody got desire of that. But the determination to be this way is going to face adversity. Where will we get when the team score on us the first touchdown? Are we gonna still stay balanced, or are we gonna panic and then we're gonna just go try to catch the game up in one pass and try to catch it up? Two, are we gonna listen to our fan base, which a lot of our fan base don't think you should run the ball unless you're getting 100 yards on the carry? Three, are we gonna listen to our fan base or the media out there, the hate media that's gonna say, well, Dak Prescott getting paid his contract, why should you run the ball? You should throw the ball every down because he getting paid that much, so he got to prove it every game that he worth that money. Is that smart? No. All those things are gonna be the adversity type things that's gonna hurt us getting to where we need to go. Because he balanced and having a physical presence and making sure that you using all your weapons is going to have more to do with your culture than anything else. Look, so, oh, shucks, coach done went back to culture. How coach go back from talking about what the offense need to do to all of a sudden he going back to what the culture is, the culture of the building blocks of our culture, because our building blocks of our culture is going to be how we going to find out where we're going to go. The building blocks of our culture say we're going to have physicality. So we're going to have physicality. We're going to make sure our offense has a part of physical presence to our offense. We're going to dominate the game physically, and we're not going to jump off that game. You're not going to make us get in the game plan that we playing finesse football, because offensively and defensively, we're going to play continuity ball, and we're going to stay there. We're going to stay disciplined as a coaching staff to our game plan. Oh, yes, we may have to change. It may have to, but we're going to know what our team does, and we're going to stay disciplined to our game plan, and we're going to impose our will with the mental toughness to make you play our game, not us playing your game. That's where the mental toughness comes in. And our coaching and leadership is going to keep us on course. And we're going to play to our talent. Because if we play to our talent, we're going to play the best. This is what we're going to have to do when everybody starts saying what we should do as an organization, because we don't need to be balanced. We don't need to have no physical presence. We need to throw the ball in the air. We need to run around and throw the ball, because there is no other way that we're supposed to win unless we throw the football or unless we run the ball to death. We're going to get resistance from being balanced. Some of that resistance is going to come from people that hate people, which I told you, don't take advice from people out there that you know that don't like you. The advice they're giving you, or the direction they're giving you, or they're giving you so much props about this Pickens thing and talking about, I heard some people say, oh man, with Pickens, that person going to have his best numbers and he's going to have an all-star thing with Pickens. Like Pickens going to be the number one wide receiver. Like him and CeeDee Lamb going to have 1,400 yards apiece. And remind you where you getting this from. People that don't want to see the Cowboys win. And we're going to take that same information into our own Cowboy chats and our Cowboy Twitters and our Cowboy groups And we're going to spread the propaganda that people is giving us that don't like us to get us off what makes us good. And our offense is set up for balance. You don't have to have a name brand running back to be a good running back in this league. I'm just saying, yes, you got to have good, but I think we got good running backs. I think Rico Dowell was a very good running back, but you didn't know if he was a real good running back until the last 4 or 5 games of the season when we gave him opportunities. So again, balance, physical presence. And when I get to the end, when I do my conclusion, I'm going to talk about some of the things that's going to pull us away from when I conclude about how this offense needs to go. Right now, we got to have a physical presence to this offense. Does that mean Coach Marv saying that we got to go out there and run the ball 45, 50 times? I think in a game when we got 65 carry, we if you look at the Dallas Cowboys for the last 3 to 4 years, we have led the league. We have been the top 3 in the league in offensive plays per game. Now that's very good because a lot of offense coordinators wants the more plays we get to run, the more we get a chance to chop at the tree. And defense don't want you to run that many plays because the more you can chop at the tree, the more you're gonna weaken them. Regardless of how good the defense is, they get over a certain amount of plays, they're gonna get hurt. They can't withstand that many plays. But with the Cowboys, we run a lot of plays. Now, that could be there's a lot of factors in that. There's no stat in football that I can say there's one factor that says, okay, this is why. Is it one? We ran sometimes we ran a faster pace than we should have run, which put us in trouble. 2, we've gotten a lot of turnovers from our defense in the last 4 to 5 years, which give us more possessions. That's probably the 2 main reasons why we ran so many plays. And sometimes by trying to run so many plays, sometimes we got ourselves out of rhythm because we were looking for, we wouldn't go back to where we was running and we didn't get a feeling of comfortable, get our team feel comfortable. But it goes back to what I said about our culture. Those building blocks I just put up there about building blocks of culture, those are the building blocks of the culture we're trying to build. And it got to be, and I heard Schottenheimer say this, and I heard a lot of coaches say this, and it's the truth. Your offense and your defensive line is what your culture is. I said this in my go back to my offensive line show. If y'all want to go back to some of my other previous shows, go back to my offensive line show, the three C's into a great offensive line. You know, the 3 C's to a great offensive line. What makes a great offensive line? Being comfortable. In control. The 3 C's of being, a great offensive line, man. These things, man, they get comfortable. They get continuity. Then they get in control of the game. That's the 3 C's of a great offensive line. They are all built off, like I said, off your 5 cultural things. And then when you build the cultural things, you take those cultural things and then you start building the stuff that you need to do. And your offense fits your culture. You don't have an offense that doesn't fit your culture. If your culture is being physical, you don't have a passive offensive line and an offense. If your offensive line is looked at being passive, your culture is passive. And to think about it, we could talk about it, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a Cowboy fan for many years, and nobody can tell me I ain't no Cowboy fan. But I'm gonna tell y'all this: the Cowboys hadn't proven to me they're a physical team. I don't care who they drafted. I don't care who they got on the team. Now, now we're gonna say coach talking negative. No, when we stop talking about being physical, and it becomes a part of our culture, we wouldn't even talk about being. We wouldn't even be talking about getting physical players. We already know that that's who they're gonna be. People don't talk about people once the coach is in place, it's set in place. And that's gonna be my next show about how long and what's the patience, what we got to be patient about with this culture. But right now, our culture says we're trying to build a building block. We have to have a physical presence, and the way we have a physical presence is that we have to be balanced, and we got to stay away from the wee woo that wants to force us into saying we want to be. I've heard people talk about, well, we're gonna be fast strike, man. We're gonna be explosive. Yes, we need explosive plays, but we want to make explosive plays by staying on schedule and being comfortable, and we'll be able to pick our shots in explosive plays. The one thing you cannot do in explosive plays, you can't chase them. You start chasing explosive plays, you start putting yourself in a bad situation. What you end up doing is punting the ball a lot, turn the ball over. You can't chase explosive plays. You set them up to be able to get them. And when the time comes, your playmakers make them. I always use the analogy of boxing. A fighter, if he got a great right hook or a great straight right hand, or he got a great left hook, he sets you up to get that punch. And when he gets that punch, he don't miss. But he doesn't go out there and just start swinging it and chasing the left hook or chasing the straight right hand, because what's going to end up is getting him knocked out. That's what balance does. It keeps chopping at the wood. It keeps the defense off balance. And then we break them with that big strike when they least expect it. Because we are in control of the game plan. We're controlling the tempo. But we can't fall for the wee woo. They're already setting up our own Cowboy Nation. They are already setting it up with this George Pickens hype. Now they're talking about Turpin is the baddest thing in sliced bread, or Toby gonna kill third wide receiver, then Turpin coming in. They setting it up for us to fall for the wee woo. Why is balance more important too? Balance is gonna make it easier for Dak Prescott to be very good. Uh-oh. I know when I say that, we got Cowboy Nation to say, well, he overrated. Let's hear. No, it doesn't. He would be more efficient, and his plays would matter more if you take some of the pressure off of him of not trying to make every play or control every situation. That's how greatness it is. Some control it with their defense. Some control it with their running game. Some control. When you take the pressure off, now you assign him to be able to do what he does and be great. So many times I've heard people talk about, if you look at basketball, same thing in basketball. I'm not, I'm a Laker fan, but I ain't that great of a LeBron fan. But I keep hearing people talking about LeBron need help all his career. When you give him help and you alleviate some of the pressures off him, and then you allow him to be great at the moments, but not have to depend on him, his greatness wins championships. But if he got to be the greatest guy on the floor every night in every situation, that's only gonna win 50% of the bigger games. So you have to take pressure off Dak Prescott. That's gonna make him greater. Just because you take pressure off of a player, that don't mean that diminishes their greatness. It enhances them. But don't fall for the wee woo, people. The wee woo wants you to get off or put all the pressure on Dak Prescott, put all the pressure on CD Lamb and George Pickens, put all the pressure on the third and fourth wide receiver. We talking about third and fourth wide receiver. We ain't no other team in the league talking about third and fourth wide receivers that have a tight end like we run a run and shoot offense. Put all the pressure on pass blocking because they said if you're not balanced, they know you can't win. Don't you think the pundits out there know what the record is when the Cowboys when their offense is balanced? They are just crazy. I'll give you a case in point, and I'm about to wrap it up. Well, I'm about to go into about the balance, but I'm gonna give you a case in point, and then we're gonna go into where our passing game needs to be, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Because I just ain't just talking about running the ball. I'm just saying if we talk about offensive line being a physical presence, because we don't know what they will, but we're trying to get the philosophy in first. The plays are gonna come. Well, I'm gonna give you a case in point about Dak Prescott. One of Dak Prescott's best games in his career was when he went to Foxborough. I want to say 3 years ago now, and against a Bill Belichick defense with Matt Judon, and that defense was okay. Wasn't the greatest defense, but it was still all right. And it was in New England, and history say we hadn't beaten them in New England ever, forever. Primetime game. I think he threw for 400 and some yards and touchdown. They said first 400-yard game somebody threw against Bill Belichick. And that's when he threw the touchdown pass right at the end of the game and hurt his calf in overtime. An outstanding game by Dak Prescott throwing the ball. But do you know in that game we were balanced? Do you know that he threw about 45 passes, but you know the majority of those passes came in the drive in the fourth quarter and overtime. But through the game, we ran the ball 34 times. Now we didn't get no massive yards, but we got 3 to 4 yards, 5 yards when you start getting fight. What it did was it allowed us by running the ball during the game. It slowed down New England's great pass rush, which helped Terrence Steele out a great deal, and then Steele started dominating like he used to do. And what it did is it slowed the pass rush where it took the legs away from them. And then when it got in the fourth quarter, third and fourth quarter, when we needed, Dak had time to cook them like dinner. But if he would have went to that game and said we're not gonna neglect the run and we're gonna pass this ball to every down the whole game, New England would have ate us alive. For being committed to the run in that game, kept their defense off kilter, and Dak was surgical. And his best game ever, I believe. One of his best games. So what we need from our offense, we need balance. We say, Coach, well, yeah, but what do we need from our passing game? I said this in my live the other day, and I'm gonna say this again. We didn't bring George Pickens over here to be a curl and a stop and a 5 yard receiver. We brought him to be a knockout blow. Alvin Harper wasn't here to be no possession receiver. I think Alvin Harper may have had maybe one or two games in his career that he had over 10 receptions, but he had big plays. And big plays got him paid when he went to Tampa Bay. But when they tried to put him in as a receiver to catch 10, 11 balls, he didn't work out. But for his role of getting big plays, here, well, most of the balls went to Jay Novacek, Michael Irvin, Jay Novacek, and the running backs. But when Hopper got his opportunity to go down the field, cross the field, to make plays, big plays, Hopper was there. And did anybody care about if he had big numbers? They just wanted to see the big plays. And that's what he did. And that's what George Pickens can do. Dominate and have people fearing him because they know he's going to be big play. But we're going to set him up being big play by being balanced and give him the opportunity to strike. So, and we're going to use Jake Ferguson to dominate the middle of the field. We're not going to play patty cake with this passing game. Dak ain't going to have to throw the ball 45 times to get 200, 300 yards. But we're going to control the line of scrimmage without running. So our offense needs to go to physical presence. We need to add a physical presence. And we got to be balanced. Balance is going to set the tone to make it easier for our quarterback. And it's going to set the tone for us to get explosive plays. Now, I'm at a little bit at an hour. So let's go over again, like I always want to do, because I want to make sure that my people out there are seeing these things that we talked about that we talked about in our lives that we talked about, and we always want to go back to what we talking about with Schottenheimer and how he's trying to build. And we always say the first thing we're trying to build off, and the first thing we're trying to build off out the building of a culture for a tough season. But these are the building blocks for a new culture slash identity in Dallas. That's physicality, discipline, mental toughness, coaching slash leadership, and talent. We see all those are being worked on in a way. We expressed that in the last shows about how these things being expressed, and we talked about today what does our offense need, and we talked about utilizing our talent in the right way, and we talked about being physical and being difficult, discipline, and mental toughness to stay the course and do what's best for our offense. So again, we talked about that. That's the foundational blocks right there of how we're building a team off of those building blocks. Those building blocks come first. And then after we build those building blocks, we've been talking about in our live streams and where this one goes as well, this show when we talk about our offense, we talked about we're gonna build upon those things. And after we build upon those things, We're gonna build upon those things, and we're gonna build upon those things, and we're gonna build upon those things to win different battles in a game. We got to win certain battles in the game that's going to improve our way of chances of winning. And our builder blocks is going to build that culture so we can be able, based off our culture, we're going to be able to go into games and build these and win these four battles. And the four battles that we must win to win games, especially big games against good teams, we must win the turnover battle. We must win the explosive play battle. We must have less turnovers when we win the turnover battle. We don't want to have more. We want to get more turnovers from them than we have. We want to have more explosive plays. That's plays of 20, 15 to 20 yards. We want to have more explosive plays overall than we allow them to have. We want to win the explosive play battle. We want to win the penalty battle. We want to have less penalties than them. All these are going to be built off those first five cultural things we have because we got the right culture. We're going to be in place. Not saying we can, but we're going to be in place to win these battles. And then we want to win the effort physical battle. If we can win these four battles in a game, guess what? Like I said, I don't guarantee wins, but I will say our likelihood of us winning is very, very, very high. It's very high if we got this. So it's very important that we win these four battles. So remember these because I'm going to keep bringing these same things up because they're going to be connected to all my live streams when we talk about building this team from this getting the season start, because this is going to be the foundation that we got to go through to get where we got to get to 6. But to win big games, we must have these four things. We must win these four battles. That's going to get us to 6. We build those cultural foundational guide things. Then we build off of that and we start building on that. We start building off those four things that we need to win every game. And then we got to look at it and say, well, coach talked about this. And I brought this one up a little earlier. Then we got to look at our players. And we got to say, we got some talented players on this field, on this team. And then what we got to do as a coaching staff to get this talent to be to fit in this culture and to win these type of battles. What we have to do as a team so we look at our talent and what coaches have to do with talent. As I always keep saying in all other shows, coaches can't make talent. We can only draft it, acquire it, bring it on the team. We can't make it. Only thing that can make a talented player is the mom and dad. But once we get them on our team, or we think that they're deem them as being talented, we gonna put them on this team like our talented offensive line. We got to motivate them, and how we motivate them, we do things that fits their game plan. We got a big physical offensive line, so how we motivate them, we put in a game plan for to allow them to be physical. We got to refine their talent. Where they may be lacking on in that talent base, stuff they might be weak on, we got to keep practicing. We got to coach them up so they can get stronger. We got to even put in our offense or our defense that hide some of their warts. That's not what people do with makeup. But coaches do that with their game plans. They put makeup over certain things so we can hide some of the warts that we got. But we got to refine the talent of the guys, refine the talent we got. And then we got to hold the talent accountable. When we talk about our offense, I'm going to hold the offensive line accountable because they came into this Cowboy land as being physical players. So when I give you a physical style of offense and allow you to be physical, and you're a physical player, you're supposed to be a mauler, and they start beating you up physically, I'm going to hold you accountable because you're better than that. And I gave you what fits you, and you're better than that, if you let them dominate you and set the tone. And then we got to put the players in the right places to shine. Yes, we got to put uh, um, GP, George Pickens, in places where he can make big plays. Yes, we got to put CD Lamb in where he's high pointing the ball, going down the field, catching the ball on the run, not limiting him to catching balls out of the backfield on swing passes for him to run the ball and get hit all up. We got to utilize Tobin high pointing the ball and the ability to catch the ball down the field. We got to utilize Turpin in ways that he can get loose. We got to utilize these running backs in the manner that they run and give them opportunities to carry the ball. We got to tell these running backs, hey, listen here, y'all gonna get 25 to 30 carries in the game. And we expect some of them to go big, but we're gonna give you the physical presence for you to keep pounding. We're gonna utilize the players that we got that we deem talented, and we're gonna use them the right way. All that's gonna fit our offense. If we're looking for the direction our offense gonna go, our offense gonna go in a balanced offense that adds a physical presence to it, that is a big strike football team because we got big strike players. But we're gonna set that up by being balanced. And we're gonna set all that up with our culture. We're gonna set that up to win the battles that we need winning the game. And we're gonna utilize our talent and have our talent ready to be able to execute a game plan and to win. And we hope if we put all those things together, we can't guarantee a Super Bowl, but our chances of playing in February and standing on those stage and all of us as fans standing outside or standing on the internet or standing out Super Bowl party saying we are the champions, our chances get a much, much better chance of us doing that. We increase our chances. If we don't do these things, we decrease our chances. We got it, people. We can't fall for the okie doke. We cannot fall for the banana in the tailpipe for people to say, oh, you just got these receivers, you need to go, oh, quarterback getting that much, you need to do this. Look at how our offense is at its ultimately best is when it's balanced. And I leave you with this, and this might be the last part that people are not going to hear. And I hope if you're out there, if anybody see this, if somebody comes in and they put this in your feed and you see this show, that you share it to other people and you put on there and say, hey man, coach, the last part of this is what is very important that we hear that as Cowboy fans. Man, our Cowboy fans, man, it was some games when I'm talking about Dak Prescott playing 22 when we ran the ball. We was going in a 6-game winning streak we went in New England. And we were dominating people on the run game, and Dak Prescott was making big plays in the passing game. But he didn't have big numbers where he was throwing touchdowns, about 3-4 touchdowns a game, but he was not doing no yardage. And our own fans were not happy with that. And that's why I don't think our own team was happy with that. Our team seems like they are not happy unless we're doing it one way. I want this culture and this identity on this team to be is if we could run the ball 40 times on you and beat you by 17, so be it. And we gonna celebrate like it ain't nothing in the world. Dak Prescott throw the ball 17 times and throw for 80 yards, and we win the game. We happy. Great performance, Dak. But we're not gonna go back and start scrutinizing, talking about, oh well, we're gonna try to get better. We're always gonna get better. But we ain't going back talking about, man, the pass game is boo-boo. We need to get another receiver. Oh man, we just need to get something. No. And I don't want to hear this like, well, it ain't gonna happen against good teams. You ain't gonna be able to do that. Whatever it takes. If I'm good enough, I can pose my will on a good team to do the same way. And if I got to throw the ball 40 times, 50 times, hey, we're gonna be able to win, and we're gonna be happy how we win. And when you get a team like that, and you get a fan base like that, they're hard to beat, man. Because you can't get them off their spot. I always talk about when the big brother playing the little brother in the backyard. Big brother playing the little brother in the backyard, and they playing basketball. And the big brother always posted the little brother up and scoring. And it goes week and year after year, the little brother can't win. Because when it comes down to it, the big brother posts him up, back him down, and score. And all during that time, the little brother keeps saying, I bet you can't win this shoot jump shot. See, that's why you always got to do that. You can't win shoot jump shot. You ain't no real good basketball player because you can't do shoot jump shot. And eventually, after a while, the big brother start listening to all that and say, okay. And he gets in the game. Instead of backing him down, he shoots jump shot the whole game, and he end up losing. And the little brother celebrates. Or the game get close, he almost lose. And the little brother celebrates like, oh man, I beat you, or I can beat you. Who fault is that? It's the big brother. Because the big brother says, hey, I'm happy whatever way I win. But if that's the way I can win most of the time, by backing you down, that's what I'm going to do. And if the Cowboys being a balanced offense has gotten better results as being more, if you look back, they have been dominant. Why go away from that and try to do it some other way? I don't care about Dak Prescott being MVP. Philly don't care about Jalen Hurts being MVP. Philly don't care if Jalen Hurts gets 40 passes or 13. And they're going to continue to run the ball on Saquon Barkley. I don't care if you shut him down 15 times. And they're not predictable. They're just balanced. So, again, balance and physical presence is where our offense needs to go in 2025. A physical presence and balanced. That don't mean running with physical presence and balance. And balance means a mixture of run and pass. And it's got to be that we got to believe in an offense that we could dominate either way. As I said before, um, and going back through all this, Scott, I listen. I think we do have good running backs. Let's not let's not. We have had great running. We don't have some real good running backs here that we don't let go. I mean, Tony Pollard was a very good running back. Rico was a very good running back. But we're looking for numbers from guys that's not getting opportunities. If you go back and look at, I need to pull up the stats of our attempts, and I ain't want to go into this one, but I'm gonna go into this one right here because um, I don't know if I can go into it. It would allow me to go into it. Um, be patient with me, y'all. I'm gonna I'm gonna go into somewhere, and I hope I don't lose you. Hope I don't lose y'all. And I don't know if I'm on the screen or not. If y'all could just bear with me here. Um, but well, I can go here. I knew, and I'm not saying very good statement. That's true. I mean, a great running back will make a running game even better. Uh, but I do believe this it's same thing as is the same thing um with our team with with our team with the offensive line play. Um, I think I believe in what a thing that Jerry said about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley with the Giants, he didn't have any great season. He couldn't get loose. But you put him with a great offensive line, and all of a sudden, he doing great things. And I want to share something with Scott. Scott put up a great interesting point. But I still think I think our offensive line is better run blockers. But I think our offensive line and our running game is based off our attempts. 2 years ago, when we or 3 years ago, when we had Zeke run for almost 1,000 and Tony Power run, we almost had 2,000-yard rushes in a season with 24 touchdowns between them. And then we get in the playoff game and then we don't utilize them. that's that's the travesty of what type of offense we was in. And if you go and look at in the last 10 seasons, and we would think that Dak Prescott has been in 10 seasons, right? And if y'all can see the stat I got on the 2000 who's out there, if I think right team, you know, in the chat, can y'all if y'all the screen when I share the screen, just put a something in the screen said that y'all can see the screen. Just put some in the chat and say y'all can see the screen. If y'all can see the screen. All right. If you're in there, y'all can see the screen. If you look at the screen here, I hate to have their stuff here, their advertising here. But anyway, if you look at the screen on here, look at how our offense, our attempts, our rushing attempts, and where we at with attempts at, and you look at the last year where we was at attempts. We had more rushing attempts when Kellen Moore was here. And how they went down with Dak Prescott. And if you look at Dak Prescott, if you compare Dak Prescott numbers, the year where we had more rushing attempts and our rushing yards as a team went up, he had some of his better years. The sad thing about our rushing attempts, when we talk about rushing attempts, and I didn't want to get into this, but we're gonna get into that. I just want to say, I'm a refrigerator. I can't hold nothing. The sad thing is, when Dak Prescott was hurt, the 2 years Dak Prescott was hurt, and then he didn't play, right? And he only played 5 games, and he played this past year when he only played 8 games. You would think that our rushing attempts would go up those years. Mike McCarthy first year and Mike McCarthy last year was the 2 years he got hurt, and he didn't play a full season. You would think when your main quarterback goes down, and then you bring in a guy like Cooper Rush, that your rushing attempts would go up in those years because you're trying to play complementary football and you're not going to have your main quarterback. Don't you know we actually threw the ball more when Dak Prescott was out than we threw when he was in? Do that make any sense? And every year they kept coming back to the table. And Mike McCarthy always said the problems with the running game is attempts. Everybody kept saying that. And we gave Rico Dowdle running attempts at the end of the year. He led the league in rushing the last 5 weeks of the season. Or I think he was either first or second in rushing yards the last 5 weeks of the season. Because it was about attempts. And that's part about being balanced. Two of your best coordinators that's out there right now. People give Shanahan and they give McVay a lot of credit for having great teams and being offensive geniuses. Both of those coordinators say we're going to get 30 rushing attempts a game. That's our schedule. That's what we want. We're going to get 30 rushing attempts. If we do that, we're on schedule. If a team puts us in a place where we can't get those 30 rushing attempts because we get behind, we turn the ball over, we get way behind, they control the momentum of the game, and then we're off schedule. They don't go out there and say they count the runs and say, okay, once we get to 30, bam. No. They want to be in rhythm enough where they know when they get to the end of the game, then they got 30. They don't have to talk about it. It's already built into them to do that. Some of you get coffee in the morning to get started. Right? Some of y'all get coffee in the morning to get started. That's how you get started, right? And you don't have to talk about getting coffee in the morning. You're gonna get it. And again, I'm gonna say this again. And this is I'm glad I'm participating with the people in the chat. Don't you know Dallas Cowboys offensive line ranked in the top 10 this year as offensive lines in the football? Just because the offense is not efficient, we throw it back and say the offense is not. Listen, Dak Prescott, listen, Cooper Rush was somewhat successful because he didn't get harassed. Consistency and not using your offensive line efficiently can hurt you. Listen, if you was listening to the show earlier, you have gotten the offensive line here. If you go and use this offensive line and you make them strictly a pass blocking offensive line, you're taking what they did great in college and who they are and changing what their makeup is that gets them started. That don't mean you can't throw the ball, but Tyler Smith was a mauler. Tyler Booker is a mauler. BB came from an offensive run heavy offense in Kansas State. Tyler Guyton is a original right tackle, which right tackles are what we call power tackles. Most teams run right. And he was a power tackle. Most of your power tackles are on your right-hand side. Most of your athletic guys are on your left-hand side. So he don't lose that characteristic of being a power guy. Now, I ain't saying he can't play left. He's going to be a great left tackle, I believe. But he's a power guy. Terrence Steele has shown you when we ran the ball for the last 6-7 games of the season, ain't nobody talking about Terrence Steele giving them no sacks. They may have listen, everybody gives up pressures and sacks. But we watched the live screen. Nobody ain't talking about Terrence Steele. And when he's after people, he's dominant. If you don't utilize these guys to get them in rhythm, and I'm going back over what I said before, I know, but I wanted to address that when we start talking about the offensive line. If you don't use these guys in the manner of what they are, going back to what I was talking about talent, if you don't utilize, put them in the right spot for them to shine, then you're doing a disservice to them. And if they don't look as good as you think they should look because you put them in the wrong situation, whose fault is that? If I get a BMW, a, a, a sedan, and I put him in a drag race, if he loses and get blown, the doors get blown off, whose fault is that? Is it the BMW or is it mine? But if I put him in the BMW in a classic car or a luxury car thing, and I shine him and put him all that, I'm putting him in this element for it to be successful. So you cannot say you don't have a good offensive line if if we didn't have a great offensive line in a while. Nope, I don't want that one. I'm sorry about that one. You can't say we didn't have a great offensive line when I go to this one. When we had a good offensive line, I'm gonna go to the in 10 seasons. Everybody see season number 8 here. That's the year and Tony Pollard was the two running backs himself for over 2,000 yards. Now you can give or take some of the other running backs that got the yards, maybe about but most of them, Tony Pollard ran for 1,005 yards. Zeke ran for 890 yards, and Zeke missed the game. They got 24 touchdowns together. I think rushing touchdowns. Actually, how much 1,000 yards in 2022. And they're crazy. But we decided to get in the playoff game, and we got the two running backs in 22 together. Had what, 14 carries? And we lost a close game. So you tell me, whose fault was that?